Good morning, folks. We have a great show for you today. We're going to talk about No Show Ron down in Florida. We have an amazing guest. We've got Shirley Layton. She's the chair of the East Texas Democratic Caucus. You're always asking me, how do we turn Texas blue? Why didn't we win? Why didn't Beto win last time when he was so popular? Just all the questions that you have. Shirley Layton is here to answer them. She is where the rubber meets the road in politics. It's just going to be a wonderful, wonderful segment there where you can get all your questions answered. And we're going to just lay it all out for you. And then at the end of the show, we're going to talk about some new revelations about Rudy Giuliani that are just breaking, that are just jaw dropping. They are just jaw dropping. So, without further ado, grab your coffee, grab a pen and pad for the roundtable at the end of the show. Get your questions ready. Let's do this. Good morning, folks. Great show for you today. Right out of the box, we've got to talk about No Show Ron. Ron DeSantis, well, we say it all the time. Republicans cannot govern. Republicans just, they can't. They cannot govern. Every opportunity that they have to do anything, they always default to serving their corporate billionaire sugar daddies. It's just who they are. It's what they are. They are not like us. You know, Democrats look at problems and they say, how can we fix it? How can we help people? Republicans look at problems and they say, you know, how can we get our donors to make some money off of it? And DeSantis has just left Florida in a mess. I mean, a complete mess. And we're talking before Idalia hit. Florida is in a massive insurance crisis, just a massive insurance crisis. There has been article after article, just people talking about this and the problems. What it centers around, folks, what's leading to this more than anything is Florida leads the nation in litigation, lawsuits against insurance companies. And the reason is just like in every state, in my state, whenever you have a Republican administration, you don't have regulation. You have the opposite. They try to kill every regulation they can. So in Florida, we have had insurance companies just running hog wild, serving their own companies' self-interests and not serving the people and what the people need. So we've got situations. You remember I did a show a few weeks back about Hurricane Ian a year later. You have people that are still suing. There are still blue tarps on roofs right now. People that cannot get their claims handled, or insurance companies, worse, are just the policies aren't worth the paper they're written on. We talked about one family that had $350,000 worth of damage to their home. The insurance company cut them a check for $23,000. Claimed that the damage to their home wasn't wind damage, it was all storm surge, and, they didn't have flood insurance. So when we had video footage of their town, houses being blown down, the roof had been ripped off this house. And I don't know if you know how insurance works, but yeah, flood is different than wind damage, and water damage isn't typically covered unless a storm happens to lift the roof off your house and let the rain in. Then it's covered. But the insurance companies are like, make me pay. And they've choked the courts in Florida, just choked the courts in Florida. There's so many of these cases because the insurance companies just said, we're not going to pay. We're not going to pay. Sue us. And DeSantis, who cannot govern, putting fingers cannot govern. He is not a leader. Actually made the situation worse. He signed a bill in the middle of this insurance crisis. He signs a bill that dumps people out of the state-backed insurance pool and forces them into a private market where insurance companies are fleeing the state. Every major insurer has left Florida. They're not writing policies in Florida anymore. And Ron DeSantis, rather than trying to facilitate a way to get insurers back into the state, just dumped the people of Florida into a pit of wolves. And as we've seen from Hurricane Ian last year, the policies they're writing aren't worth the paper they're written on. And it's just mind-blowing because you all saw the reports last year. Ron DeSantis, oh man, be like Florida. Be like Florida. Everybody wants to come to Florida. They had an immigration surge to Florida. They had people moving from other states where the cost of living was really high, like California. You had people, working class people, moving to Florida. And they're horrified. They are just horrified when they get there because they show up, they rent a house, they plan to buy a house. They can't buy a house. Even though in working class neighborhoods, real estate's cheap in Florida. Real estate is cheap in Florida. I mean, you've got it's one of those weird markets where you've got like really high in the rich neighborhoods, really high real estate prices. If you want to buy a house on Miami, in Miami Beach on the beach, it is astronomical right now. That is following the national trend. But if you go into the working class neighborhoods in Florida, you can buy a house cheap, man. I mean, dirt cheap. But the cost to insure it can be more than your mortgage. And people are just finding out that they're priced out of the market, not because of the house. They're priced out of the market because of the damn insurance policy that they have to get. Mortgage companies won't give you a loan to buy a house unless you insure it. So again, we see DeSantis just blowing what could be a tremendous opportunity for Florida, the people of Florida. But man, he can't govern. He can't. And this is before we talk about Adelia. I want you to take a look at this. This is Florida before Adelia, talking about Hurricane Ian. And this is why you have to absolutely love news today, because the corporate news media no longer has the reins. They no longer control anything about the story. They cannot be a puppet of the Republican Party and fill you with BS because you have people on the ground that are willing to tell you what's going on. This is a TikTok from just watch.
This is Fort Myers Beach, almost a year after Hurricane Ian.
So yeah, when I tell you that Florida still has tarps on the roof, still hasn't rebuilt from Ian, and can't because the insurance companies will not pay, it is an economic disaster for Florida. And the corporate news media, because they want this to be a horse race, man. They want some Republican, because they know Trump's trash. He's done. Stick a fork in his fat butt. He is done. They want some Republican to be a horse race, because if there's no horse race, they don't get their billions of dollars in political ads next year. They've got to have a horse race. So you are not seeing that. That was from, did you see the date on that? That was August 27th of this year. And Florida is still devastated. Why? Why? Because of the way Republicans do things. They cannot govern. Disaster response is a job of the government. That is something you cannot do. The government does things that you cannot do individually. That's why we have a government. And Republicans don't believe in that. They just don't believe in government. The disaster response in Florida is a charity. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. It is a charity. That is their disaster. It is a privately run charity. They call it a public-private partnership, but there's no public to it. It's a charity. Here, I brought receipts. The Florida Disaster Fund is the charity that funds Volunteer Florida. Volunteer Florida is Florida's disaster response. I just let that sink in. When you see that, are you like me? Do you not hear the decades of, oh, private's better, government's bad, government's bad? You know, we have potheads, we have people in the show that are Texas Paul potheads, man. Oh, by the way, y'all wanted the mug? Y'all got the mug. The store, starting 11:30 today, the store is going to open. You can get you a Texas Paul pothead mug. The pre-orders start this week. You get a 15% discount. Go get them, man. All you want. They're there. Mrs. Texas Paul put the links out in the chat. Unlike Ron DeSantis, we can get something done around her. But we're talking about before Adelia. We're talking about before Adelia. Since Adelia, this charity's done squat. And Ron DeSantis could not do his job. You know, when you're a kid and you have a crisis, for the longest time, your parents bail you out. That's just the way it works. It's just the way it works. And Republicans, when they're trying to do their you know, conservative Valhalla of let's privatize, let's turn our disaster response into a charity. You know, when they're acting like children instead of people that need to govern. When a disaster happens and daddy shows up with his wallet open, you shut your mouth. You show up. You have lunch with daddy. That's your job, especially when you're responsible for other people. Thank you, Benaloco. Glad to see you. Thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. You're always there for me. I appreciate you. That's your job. It's to show people, it is to show people that you are there and able to do what's necessary. You're going to make things right. And after the miserable response to Ian, who needed that worse than Ron DeSantis? Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Had a hissy fit, would not show up. After working all week with Joe Biden and the Biden administration to arrange this trip, the last minute he flakes. Can't do it. And after Joe Biden comes and tours, you know, just DeSantis lies, makes this BS. Well, it was just going to cause a security problem. It's going to cause security backup. And yeah, we want to do that. So we just held a little press conference and they did. I'm not even going to show you. It was just this joke that instilled confidence in no one. I mean, it was a joke. I mean, it was in a bar. He did his press conference from a bar. I'm not kidding. You know, the tiki things and the grass roof and everything was hanging in the background. And your job is to instill confidence, to show people, hey, I'm here. I got your back. I got this. Jump on my back. We're going to get through this. Did he do that? No. Didn't show up when daddy showed up. Couldn't show up when daddy showed up. With his checkbook wide open. And then he lied about it. Here's the Biden. Here are the Bidens showing up in Florida.
President Biden in Florida Saturday, getting a firsthand look at some of the devastation left behind by Idalia. Idalia made landfall Wednesday morning along Florida's Big Bend region as a Category 3 hurricane, causing widespread flooding and damage. The president and first lady getting an aerial tour of some of the hardest hit areas before meeting with federal and local officials as well as first responders.
We're making federal assistance available for Florida survivors whose homes or businesses are damaged and destroyed.
But Biden's trip has become embroiled in politics. On Friday, it was announced that Florida's Republican governor and 2024 presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis had no plans to see the president during his visit.
What happened with the meeting with DeSantis?
The governor's office issuing a statement saying such a meeting could hinder disaster response efforts, though the White House has said the president's visit was planned in close coordination with state and local leaders to ensure there was no impact on response operations. FEMA Director Deanne Criswell says a visit to Live Oak was mutually agreed upon by the governor's team and her team on the ground.
In this area, the power is being restored. The roads are all open and the access has not been hindered. And so that's why this was a mutually agreed upon area for the president.
Before leaving Florida, President Biden reaffirmed his commitment to support those impacted by the storm.
And now the storm has passed and you're dealing with what's left in its wake. And we're not going anywhere, the federal government. We're here to help the state as long as it takes.
Mary Alice Parks, ABC News, Washington.
That's what a leader does. And did you see that? Tidwell's on the ground. FEMA's on the ground. FEMA's doing their job. You know, after Hurricane Ian, just like after Hurricane Idalia, the disaster response charity, you know what's on their website? Call FEMA. Yep. Call FEMA. Couldn't show up. I mean, Joe Biden's standing there saying, I'm here. We're here. That's your job. That's your damn job, in a disaster. That's what you do. When you are a leader and there is a disaster, the first thing you do when you're not interfering with first responders and you give the chance for people to do their job and make sure people are safe, you immediately go in and you make a show of it. You assure people who have been devastated, we're here for you. We are a society and we're here for you. Just like Biden said, we are here for you. DeSantis couldn't do that. He put out this ridiculous statement that it was a security problem after his office planned the trip to not be a burden.
I don't think he's going to be there.
Do you have a message for him?
We're going to take care of Florida.
Do you agree with him that the security apparatus is strong enough?
Do you?
Man, I love Dark Brandon. Do you agree with Ron DeSantis? The security apparatus isn't strong enough for this to go in there? Do you? God, I love Dark Brandon. Our Canada people are in the house. Our guest is waiting in the green room. She's been so patient. She's been waiting in the green room. She is ready to come on when we're ready to go. I'm about to wrap up with the DeSantis here. I told her we have a massive international audience here. Folks, let her know. I mean, Benny and the Jet says, love you. Love to you, Texas Paul from British Columbia, Canada. I love Canada, by the way. If you ever get a chance to go, go to Canada. You will not believe how clean they keep Canada, for one. If you go from Niagara Falls, last trip we went to Canada, we went to Niagara Falls. We didn't go on the American side because it was filthy, to be honest with you. We went across, spotless, pristine, and the people are so freaking nice. It's an entirely different culture separated by one river. I don't know. I don't know. Canadians are wonderful. I'm telling you. Go to Canada. I'm sorry, I don't mean to get sidetracked. But you want to know why? Do you want to know why DeSantis wasn't there? Other than, he's an idiot and can't govern and doesn't know what his responsibilities are. That's why. He knows when he tours that people are going to be walking up to Joe Biden. Oh my God, I'm so glad to see you. Joe Biden is the big dog in the room, and people respond to that. People are people. They know it. And during Ian, DeSantis looked like an idiot. He looked like a second-rate soy boy when he was walking around pouting. Joe Biden was just hugging people, meeting people. Joe Biden knows how to do this, folks. I mean, he's got 44 decades of experience. He knows how to do this. And DeSantis just walked around moping. Nobody paying attention to me. He's selfish. He's ignorant. Well, by definition, he's a Republican. Appreciate you. Thanks for the support, Davey. I really do. I appreciate it. He says, thank you, Texas Paul. I'm supporting Blue always. I'm glad to hear it. And on that note, I want to bring in our guest. Our guest is Shirley Layton. Folks, she is the chair of the East Texas Democratic Caucus. She is a wonderful person. You'll never meet a nicer, sweeter person. You will not. You will not. I gave a speech at the East at their summit, and folks. I mean, people when they want me to come talk, they want me to come be a firebrand. They want me to come really stir up the room, and I screwed the pooch, folks. I really did. They put me on last, and she brought all the county chairs. I'm telling you, and I know you're going to be asking yourself, what do I care about East Texas politics. I am telling you, we have elections coming up, and in your area, there is a Shirley Layton. There is somebody who is working their ass off on the daily. That is where the rubber meets the road of politics. Talking and the politicians and their promises and the things that they say and when they go around mean nothing without the Shirley Laytons of the world. It's just the way it is. This is where you get the local voters into the party. That's Shirley. That's what she's doing. That's the question. And the summit that they just had was amazing. I've mentioned to you before, where we're talking about candidates in every race. We're talking about reaching out to people. Shirley, I'm so glad you're here. Say hello to everybody. I have the best audience. I really do. They're going to be bumping out questions in the chat to you. I hope you don't mind. No, really. Everybody, this is Shirley Layton.
Hello. I am so happy to be here, Paul. And thank you. I've been looking through the chat and it seems like you have a lot of fun. I'm going to absolutely tune in and I can't wait to get a coffee cup.
We'll send you one. We will send you one.
Right.
Shirley, I really, to what I was talking about, I know the speech I gave at the caucus was not what you were expecting. I know that. And I'm sorry about that. But I was meeting with so many of the county chairs that were there, and they were all saying the same things. Like, we're talking to each other.
Exactly.
And we're all on the same team, but we've got to be talking to other folks.
That's right.
And I know you've been working on that. And give us your thoughts on where we need to go, candidates in every race, reaching out, talking to especially Gen Z.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's one of the things that we did in 2018, a whole lot better than we did in 2022. We had so many more candidates throughout the state, and it made a difference. That's when Beto was running for state senate, and he got a whole lot closer than he did in governor. I think that's one of the things where we really missed the boat on in this last cycle is we didn't have enough candidates in every race across East Texas. People had tried it before and they fell short of the mark. Well, nobody really expected them to win in some of these deep red East Texas counties, but we need them there to bring out the local voter for someone they personally know. It really makes a difference. If we could just, and I've been preaching this for years, and so has my advisors, if we could just increase the voter turnout in East Texas by 10%, in rural Texas by 10%, they couldn't stop us on the statewide tickets. And as I know, back in 2010, those local politicians, when they saw the statewide races all go Democrat, Republican, from Democrat to Republican, the final ones started flipping. They got up after the race and said, we're not going to be Republicans, when they'd been Democrats for all those years, because they want to be part of the winning party. So if we can ever get statewide, the locals are going to fall in line.
I worked really hard for a candidate down in Galveston, a guy by the name of Michael Creedon. He was an amazing candidate. He really was an amazing candidate. He an Iraq war vet. He was a colonel. He was the officer in charge in one of the most decisive battles in northern Iraq to secure northern Iraq. He was a war hero. He was an oil executive that's turned environmentalist. He knows the system. He knows how to get oil companies. We had that conversation. We did. It's one of the things we talked about. So, Paul, oil companies aren't anti-environment. They're pro-money.
Right.
You figure out a way, for them to make money.
That's right.
In a clean way. They're there, man. They're there. They don't care. We like to paint them as evil. We do, but they really don't care. They care about making money. That's what they do. And he was an outstanding candidate. Could get no help on the local level. no help on the local level. And you and I talked about this. You had money to hire people
Right.
to go out and knock on doors. And last time I was in Galveston, we had a strategy meeting. And that's why I said, okay, look, nobody called me. Nobody knocked on my door. I know I'm rural. Y'all aren't rural. Let me see a show of hands. Everybody who had somebody show up or call them. One guy went, I got a phone call.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
that is how we lost. We had good candidates. We did. We needed more candidates in different rates. In my humble opinion, that's how we lost. We didn't have the involvement.
That's
We didn't
right.
get people, and that's why I want to tell people in the audience. Yes, we're in East Texas. We're talking about East Texas, but where you are, this is what Shirley just said about these races.
Yep.
They're only a few points, folks.
Right.
The difference between red and blue and even red districts are only a few points. If you can get a couple hundred people to show up,
That's right.
we win. We win. And Shirley, tell me, what are we going to do moving forward? I mean, I am telling folks, get on Snapchat.
Right.
County chairs, everybody. We've all got the Facebook pages. We do.
Right.
Young folks don't hang out on Facebook.
Right. Right.
They don't.
We've got to get more young people engaged. And if anyone on here, what's great about on this platform, we can talk to people from all over. If you want to help Texas turn blue, you can do it from anywhere. If you have a young person that lives in Texas, though, and especially if they live in East Texas, we need their help. We need their help to reach the people that they know on Snapchat, because I can get on Snapchat, but if I only have 3 other people that I've convinced to get on Snapchat as all my friends are, then my reach is not as far. I need the young people that have friends, and they don't have to be a Texas Paul, a social media icon. They just need to have friends in this area, and then we can build those groups, because we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Our reach on Twitter is not what it should be. On Facebook, I go around and teach county chairs how to get approved to do political ads on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram. And so we're starting to do more of that. But we need volunteers that have friends on Snapchat right now, and that actually, yeah.
And let me interrupt you for just 1 second there, because I want to throw that to our audience, because this isn't East Texas we're talking about. This same situation exists nationwide. And you come to me and you say, Texas Paul, how are we going to do this? How are we going to win? How are we going to ensure that we end the Republican Party? This is it right here. What Shirley Layton just said to you. Get your kids involved. Get your kids that are on, go to the meetings. Go to the meetings.
Okay.
There are meetings. Shirley, you hold meetings all the time. Your counterparts in other states and other districts are also holding meetings all the time.
Right.
Go to the meetings. Take your kids.
Right.
Get them into the politics, because they become hubs.
Yep.
They're the ones on Snapchat. That's the way the social media thing works. You don't have to reach out and touch everyone. Just have somebody out there that is touching them for you.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because when I first became the chair of the caucus, I was a county chair in East Texas County, but when I became chair of the caucus, one of the things that I realized what we were doing with the summits, the meetings like you had, but I'm like, okay, I've had through these summits, I now know county chairs in over 30 counties in East Texas. What can we do collectively? Because some of them may only have 2 or 3 volunteers in their county, but they still have a lot of people that need to be reached. And so we came together starting in 2020 and again in 2022, and we started coming together virtually. We all know how to Zoom now, and having our trainings on, and we text over 200,000 people in East Texas. The East Texas Caucus did. We made phone calls. We could have made a lot more phone calls if we had a lot more volunteers. And the knocking on doors, we raised the money for door knocking. We raised the money. We created literature for the door knockers, and for every county that didn't have funds to create literature. We did it for them. And that's something you can do with it. It doesn't take a lot of money. It takes some money, but it doesn't take a lot of money.
Yeah. And let's talk about the money for a second. Okay. East Texas Democratic Caucus, you had a summit. I was a speaker there. I bought tickets to get in the door, and I was speaking there. Folks, and just talking about some of the things, because I talk to young people. I talk to young people, and this is what they tell me. All they want is money. Well, yeah, it's not all they want, but yeah, they want money. They do. It's when you go to one of these meetings, it's indoors. You know, you're in a building. That building wasn't free. If you have lunch, that lunch wasn't free. I mean, the air conditioning to keep you cool during that meeting wasn't free. The ads, the printing, everything. Politics is money. It is. And on the Democratic side, we don't have billionaire sugar daddies like Ferris Wilks and Tim Dunn and everybody just to write those checks to pay for all of that. We have to do it. So yeah, there's going to be a cost to get in the door. But the second thing young people tell me is, well, they don't listen to me. They say I'm stupid. They don't think, you know, what I can do means anything. And to them, I tell them this, Shirley. I say, look, you have access to people like yourself and all the county chairs. And yeah, we've got gray in our beard, and some of us cover it up a little bit, but we've got, but you know how to get things done. You know how to get things done. And you're willing to take these young people and take their ideas and show them how to make them real. Right. Not just, oh, I want this to happen. No, I can make this happen. Right. I know the county chairs to talk to. I now know how have access to the candidates. Right. And can tell them, hey, look, I'm showing up. Me and about 50 of my friends are showing up, and this is what we care about. Right. Surely there is a way that we can get these people in. And I think we're onto something here a little bit. I don't know what you think. I mean, tell me what you think. I think talking to audiences like this and stressing to them that there are organizations like Turning Point USA on the Republican Party that are on every freaking campus. Right. In high schools. They're in high schools, Shirley. They're talking to these kids. And they're feeding them garbage. Thank God kids know garbage when they smell it. Yeah. You know, so even though they have a well-funded, organized effort, they're not getting the inroads that we could because, you know, people believe in what we're doing. Right. What do you suggest? What are your thoughts really on 100% rubber meets the road, talking to the people in our audience? What the hell can they do? Because we know this is what's got to change.
This is what's got to change. And if you don't know of an organization like yours, especially if you're rural, at least reach out to your county chair and explain to them why you're there. You know, they're on some social media platform, whether they have a website or a Facebook page. Most of them do. Get a hold of your county chair and tell them that you're there to help them. They need volunteers. One of the things that I saw as county chair is we would have people come in, young people come in, and then they wouldn't see any other young people and they wouldn't come back. Well, the next meeting we'd have 3 other young people that would come in and, you know, not see any other young people and not come back. Well, we need a way to get all of the young people together. And I think through, you know, just a few of them. Now what I did is I got them all in the same group so that they in their own whatever communications they wanted to chat in, and they're still talking. There's still people like in Angelina County that are younger that are still friends because we brought them together via the county party. Get with your county party. You can also come to.
Are you hearing that, folks? Yeah. Are you hearing that, folks? Bring your kids. Get your kids involved. use your pawpaw rank and say, hey, look, kid, come with me. I want to show you how this is done. That idea you've got about free college tuition, about covering college, if you can make the grades, we'll pay for your education through college. Let me take you to the folks that can show you how to get that done.
That's right. And there's so few people that are involved that they can easily have a huge influence. There's so few people that take the time out to be involved, that the people that do get involved have an overwhelming amount of influence. And it's kind of cool. It's scary, but cool.
What blew my mind is when we were having our discussion, when you were telling me you had money to pay people to volunteer, to go out and, well, not volunteer, you were going to pay them to go door knock, to go, and you couldn't find people to pay.
Right. That's right. We had money to pay. $15.
And people wonder how, and which is great around here.
Yeah.
Most jobs around here, they're minimum wage, man.
Yeah.
Couldn't find people. And people ask me, well, how did Beto lose? He was so popular. Yeah. When we literally have a need for door knockers, when we literally have a need and we're paying them and we can't get people to show up to do it because they don't know, Shirley. They don't. Right. It's not that they don't want to. We've got a hell of an active Gen Z's in it, man. Right. They want to be involved.
Right.
They want to be involved. Hell, you've got adults that would love the side money.
Yeah.
But we've got to get these people involved.
Right.
And you know what? It's not on you. You're there. You're on social media. You're available. I'm talking to the audience. The ones that are asking the question, what do we do, Texas Paul? What do we do? This is it. In your area, there is a Shirley Layton. She may not be as pretty. She may not be as smart. I happen to be gifted. I've got a great leader here in East Texas, but you've got one that's out there laying it all out there, working their ass off. And this is how we do it. I mean, we've got an election here in August 2023 coming up. November 2023 coming up.
Yeah. Most
folks haven't even checked their registrations yet. Let's do this. Let's get it out there. Shirley, if you could just change anything, if you could reach out, what would be what you would do from what you've seen? You met with these county chairs, you pull them together, you talk to them. Somebody asked us, is door knocking safe in Texas? Hell yes, it is.
Yes,
Hell yes, it is. Hell it is. You get loudmouths on social media, but that's not what people are.
They don't. I had a person come up to us the other day in a cafe in little White House, Texas. It's a small community outside Tower, and say, well, are you still a Democrat? And we're like, absolutely. And so, but they weren't mean. Because they know you, get to know your neighbors in every context that you can. Don't be afraid to go to I know the school board meetings are getting a little crazy, but at least get out there. So few people go to your county commissioners meetings. Go there, meet people, get to know your elected officials. So few people do that they will know you and get to be a voice for your community. That's what you need to do, is not be afraid to stand up. No, you may not want to go out onto a public square with a big sign in some parts of East Texas without police presence, but you can certainly go to
we do it all the time.
I know we do. I do. I've been to so many of those, but you may not feel comfortable with that, but you can still meet your neighbors where they are and talk to them. Knocking on doors is completely safe. We've never had a problem in Texas, not even in East Texas. The worst thing you might, look out for dogs, because dogs don't know politics. But,
ain't that the truth, man?
Yeah. So be a little careful with the dogs, but other than that, you're safe.
Well, Shirley, I sure appreciate you being here. I really do. And I'm always telling the audience this stuff. It's really good to have somebody that's actually doing it out there, telling the audience, yeah, you got to show up. You got to be there. And it's fun. It's fun, folks. It is. These are nice people. These are people that are excited. And it was so great. One other thing that was really neat about the caucus. I had candidates coming up that were, that had run, and they're like, I won. I didn't think we could win. I won. I won. Hell yeah, you did. People, it's been 25 years, a quarter century of Republicans running this state. We've got lousy roads, lousy schools, lousy water infrastructure, it's not just the power grid, it's the regulation that goes down to the little local cooperatives isn't there. It isn't there. Tell me, Shirley, you live in East Texas. Every time the damn wind blows more than 20 miles an hour, power blackout.
Power blackout. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
25 years of Republican rule, and people are sick of it. Let's do this. Shirley, it's been great to have you. You want to put a plug in for the East Texas Democratic Caucus before you go?
Yes, you can go to East Texas Dems. That's easttexasdems.com. And there's a volunteer link. Of course, there's a donate link, but really, we need volunteers more than anything right now. We have a special election in November to replace a House Republican, state House Republican that got ejected by his own caucus for sexual misconduct. And he's a youth pastor. And I knew he was crazy when he went to his first campaign event back in 2020, where he had his AR-15 and his Bible and all of his bullets. Well, he's no longer there, and we've got a candidate in East Texas that's running to replace that person, and so we would love to help out. That's something you can do this year, this November, when nobody else is running. It's just one candidate in all of East Texas that's going to be on the ballot in November, and we could love the help.
I appreciate you. Give us that website one more time. I'm going to put it down in the comments.
easttexasdems.com. easttexasdems.com.
Shirley, it was great to have you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for talking to folks. I appreciate you. Let's do it again real soon, okay?
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, an AR-15 and a Bible. The nutball Republicans around here, they're crazy. They're crazy, and people are tired of them. They really are. People want people that keep the damn lights on, and we can win these. We can win these elections. But did you hear the lady? They're having a hard time. They're having a hard time with volunteers. They're having a hard time with staff. They've got money. They've got money to pay them, and they can't get staff because people don't know. So let's spread the message, okay? After the show, take a few minutes. Go look at your local area. There are local groups, Democratic groups. Find out who your county chair is. Talk to them. Find out what's going on. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. The appetite is there. We can make this happen. All right, folks, we've got another story breaking for you that's just freaking amazing. It is just amazing. You are not going to believe this. The Republicans have been putting out in the House, in the Judiciary Committee, and Jimmy Jordan, James Comer, these whistleblowers. And they always turn out to be people that are disgraced, fired, ex-FBI agents. And then we had a couple weeks ago on the show, we talked about it on the show. We had actually a credible whistleblower come out. I just wanted you to take a look at the mugshot again. It makes me happy. Well, we've had another whistleblower come out. We're talking about an FBI agent in good standing. I told you this would happen. Apparently there are several more talking to lawyers to get whistleblower status, but this is the second credible FBI agent that works in counterintelligence has come forward to say that Bill Barr And Christopher Wray shut them down when they were doing investigations into Rudy Giuliani and the Trump world. Jonathan Boomer. Jonathan, I don't have a picture of him, as he doesn't have a picture out there. He still works at the FBI. He still works in counterintelligence. Not a lot of pictures of people like that hanging around on the internet. But Jonathan Boomer has given testimony to the Senate Judiciary Committee that he was the target of retaliation and was forced to shut down investigations into Rudy Giuliani. What is just, sends the sirens off, red alerts, is that part of this happened during the Biden administration. And that tells me Christopher Wray is dirty. That tells me Chris Wray, he's a lifelong Republican. He's been a lifelong Republican. I could see this happening under Bill Barr's DOJ, but not Merrick Garland's. This is, and I'm really telling you folks, watch this space. There are more of these whistleblowers that are coming out, and I'm telling you, it is looking more and more like Chris Wray is dirty. It is. Boomer was investigating Giuliani. Giuliani, and this investigation really, and kudos. I'll let the headline speak for itself. Kudos to Mother Jones. If you don't follow Mother Jones, you need to. It is outstanding journalism, folks. This is real journalism. This isn't commentary. What I do is commentary. These are journalists. These are journalists. A new Rudy scandal. FBI agent says Giuliani was co-opted by Russian intelligence. What this story says is this was not the Trump campaign. They were too stupid. This whole Ukraine, Burisma, Biden corruption thing was not born out of the Trump campaign. That it was a Russian op introduced in to the Trump campaign. And Boomer's got the receipts. He was doing the investigation. You remember a couple of weeks ago, I was telling you about Pavel Fuchs and Giuliani's ties. And I tell you, this really changes the narrative in a lot of things, not just the whole Trump-Russia thing, but it changes the narratives in why the Republicans are bringing these whistleblowers that end up being, people that got fired for their jobs because they were leaking active investigative information to organizations like Project Veritas, the right-wing crap site that edits videos, does the gotcha stuff in the parking lots and stuff like that. I mean, people that were fired for, severe violations of norms, and they're being paid by people like Kash Patel. I thought it was to generate a narrative so that going into the election next year, they could just keep throwing this stuff out there. And, you make enough accusations, some of it's going to stick. Actually, I think now part of it, my own QAnon conspiracy theory, is part of it was to put enough idiots out there that get knocked down that nobody listens to FBI whistleblowers anymore. Because I tell you, these whistleblowers are amazing. These are people that really do the job. These are people working in counterintelligence. These are people that are still in good standing with the FBI. Jonathan Boomer, he's done some amazing work. There was an investigation going on of Rudy Giuliani. It was a criminal investigation for a violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act. And it surrounds Pavel Fuchs. You remember me talking about Pavel Fuchs a few weeks ago. Boomer says, oh, you ain't heard nothing yet. Pavel Fuchs Roy Parrish says this is exactly why Rudy didn't want his stuff to be revealed in the Shea Moss discovery. Yeah, tell me about it. I wouldn't want it either if I was Rudy Giuliani. Witchy poo, broken broom, Trump and Putin together since the early 80s. Yeah, it's worse than that. Pavel Fuchs, our own intelligence organization, said leading up to the invasion of this last invasion of Ukraine, paid people to go around. He is a Russian asset. He works for the FSB. If you don't know what the FSB is, that's what replaced the KGB. It's now the FSB. He works for them. He paid people to go around Ukraine painting swastikas everywhere, graffitis, just painting swastikas everywhere, because you remember Putin's excuse for invading was the denazification of Ukraine, which Ukraine has no more Nazi white supremacy problem than we do or any other European country. But man, if you pay people to drive around where everybody can see frickin' swastikas showing up everywhere all of a sudden, yeah, people start to think. And it shows up on Russian news. This guy is that much of a direct asset for Russia. So what Booma found is that Fuchs hired Giuliani to be, and what Fuchs said, a lobbyist. He paid him to lobby, as in to talk to Trump. He paid him $300,000. Now Fuchs has since the investigation broke out, and hey, that's a crime. Fuchs changed the story. Said, "Oh no, we changed him to do a little bit of consulting," and they said, "Okay." The FBI said, "Okay, show us the consulting he did," and there's like nothing. Fuchs lives in Kharkiv. You've heard of Kharkiv before in northern Ukraine. What he changed the story to is, well, we paid him to lobby we paid him to do to be a security advisor for the city of Kharkiv. When you do that, there's work product, and there's no work product. He paid Rudy Giuliani $300,000 for access to Trump. And Christopher Wray shut Jonathan Booma down during the investigation into whether Rudy Giuliani violated the Foreign Agents Registration Act. And then the FBI closed the case. Trina Land says, "I've always thought there was something wrong with the Hunter story." Yeah, that's exactly where we're going here, folks. This was a whole cloth made up Russian op. And our intelligence agencies back Booma up. It was Booma's work that got Pavel Fuchs' passport revoked. Customs and Border Patrol revoked his passport. He was put on the organized crime watch list because of Jonathan Booma and his work. And then the FBI shuts him down before this can get to Rudy Giuliani. And it stinks worse than that, folks. It stinks worse than that. Ukraine is on our side on this. Ukraine is not protecting this guy. They have been screaming for over a year. Ukraine wants the U.S. to sanction Pavel Fuchs, the Kremlin-linked oligarch behind the effort to build a Trump Tower in Moscow. Ties to Trump again. So far, the answer is no. And so far, the answer is still no. There are no sanctions on Pavel Fuchs. And Christopher Wray, the lifelong Republican head of the FBI, shut his investigation down and sanctioned him. And Jonathan Booma is not the only whistleblower talking about this. It is raining actual FBI whistleblowers telling the same story over and over and over again. The FBI brass shut me down. I had a valid investigation. It was going places. I had Pavel Fuchs nailed to the wall saying, show me Rudy Giuliani's work product. If he advised you, there's something. He had nothing. The city of Kharkiv got nothing for their 300 grand. And our intelligence agencies back him up. Thanks for the support, Sherry Foster. Sherry Foster has been voting blue every election since 1977. You know, all the smart people have. But you know what? If you've been voting Republican and 2016 and Trump and everybody opened your eyes that the Republican Party is not what you thought it was, the Democratic Party is a big tent. We are the only big tent out there. We are from extremely liberal to, right of center conservative. If you have realized that the Republican Party is a dead rotting caucus, welcome. Welcome. We welcome anybody that's decent. Be prepared to argue your policies. But yeah, our intelligence agencies working with Jonathan Buma and others was able to identify that Pavel Fuchs, had not only paid these people to run around and put Nazi graffiti all over everything, but he was also money laundering for the FSB. And we can't get him sanctioned. To get somebody sanctioned, you have to have dirt. To get dirt, you have to do an investigation. When the investigation got really juicy into Giuliani and Pavel Fuchs, Chris Wray shut it down. And we still have no sanctions on the guy. He's on a watch list. That's it. And there's more to come, folks. There's more to come. So please pay attention. I will be talking about this just about every week. We will talk about Ukraine. We will talk about the fact that it turns out, as Jonathan Buma says, there was nothing to this whole Biden-Ukraine stuff, that it was a whole cloth invented narrative by the FSB funneled through Pavel Fuchs to Giuliani to bring back to Trump. And it ended up getting Trump impeached. Because Trump's a criminal and can't help himself. Yeah, some of the narratives are changing. And one of those narratives that needs to change is that Christopher Wray is a straight shooter. Doesn't matter. He's a lifelong Republican, because there is no reason whatsoever. This is two in just in a month. Just a few weeks ago, we talked about the last whistleblower that came forward and how his investigations into, anything that they could say about Hunter Biden. Oh yeah, they wanted to hear that. But the minute he brought up the fact that there were people in the Trump campaign that were showing up on his radar from money moving from Ukraine, they shut him down. Literally at one point pulled the plug on his presentation, the PowerPoint presentation he was giving, literally talking about Hunter Biden, wanted to hear it. Soon as they started talking about Trump and and the immediate orbit around Trump, literally his boss got up and pulled the plug on his PowerPoint presentation. Remember, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Now we've got Jonathan Buma coming out saying, hey, look, man, I'm on the ground. I am on the ground. Tamara, I really appreciate the support. I really do. I love it. By the way, folks, like I tell you, I don't waste your money. We just bought a buzz. I mentioned this before, a little bit more information about that. Looks like it's going to take us about a week because it takes a while for Apple to approve. Spotify's pretty quick. We are actually coming out as an actual audio podcast. So if you want to hear it, if you don't get a chance to see it, don't get to hear it in a little over a week or so, we should get approval. It is, hell, it's $300 a year for the Buzzsprout alone. Buzzsprout is who hosts. I send my podcast to everybody that my podcast is marketed through, like Apple and Spotify and whatnot. They have a program that daily updates, and they look for new podcasts. So yeah, we're paying for that service, and I want to thank you. You're paying for that service, and I'm very grateful. We are about to become an audio podcast. Julie Lucas says, what BS is happening to the Houston School District taking out the school libraries? Yeah, we'll start the roundtable with that. That is a great question. Moving to the roundtable. We ran a little bit long, but we had a great guest and a couple of big stories that really aren't getting any attention from the corporate media. I wanted to hit those. But yeah, the Houston School District, not just the Houston School District, it is all over the state. They are taking... Prisons have libraries, folks. Texas state prisons have libraries. Private prisons have libraries. They're taking the libraries out of schools because the Republicans are so desperate to create a generation of morons that will listen to their nonsense. They're terrified of Gen Z. They're terrified of Gen Z. They're literally pulling libraries because of people like Planned Parenthood and making them discipline centers. Now, I want you to think about the irony of that. Prisons, which are discipline centers, have libraries. Schools, which need libraries, you would think that, hey, libraries, schools, they kind of go hand in hand. The libraries are being gutted here in Texas, emptied out, and turned into discipline centers. Prisons on campus. That is the Republican view for America. I appreciate the support. Never mind. I really do. I appreciate the support. That was a great question, Rochelle. I really appreciate the support. I really, really appreciate the support. It keeps everything moving, and we're advancing. I got a new mic coming. Going to sound better. Everything you send, I put into the show. I really do. Yeah, odd chance that the shop owner with the laptop would know Rudy. Yeah, that was kind of weird, wasn't it? That was kind of weird. Yeah, schools are becoming prisons. Another great comment. Another great comment. Let me tell you something, folks. Republicans are saying that school shootings are because we have too many doors open. We need security. We need metal detectors. We need, teachers armed, because you get these idiot right-wingers that the answer to everything is rub a gun on it. Folks, they don't have this problem in Canada. And Canada has schools. And Canada's schools have doors. They have libraries too. And their teachers aren't armed. I wonder why they don't have the shootings. Europe. Go to France. Go to Germany. The UK. Their schools have doors. Open doors. Yeah. Japan. Their schools have doors. Hell, China. Their schools have doors. No metal detectors. They have libraries. They don't have mass shootings. My European audience, please. I know we got people here from Norway. We've got people from Canada. Am I lying? Canada is being warned about travel to red states. Oh, we're going to talk about that too here in a minute, but I want to finish with this. What's different here? Right wingers. Right wingers. That's what's different here. And guns. Massive, massive amount of easy access to guns. You know, folks, I love guns. I do. That's a gun cabinet behind me. I have been hunting my whole life, but you never see me with an AR. You know, I'm not going to pull an AK out of that cabinet and hold it here on the show. But, you know, you got Ted Nugent running around a stage in a concert with an AR-15 talking about, you know, Civil War's coming. Don't do it. We're going to shoot you. You know, rhetoric matters. When you keep telling your people stuff like that, eventually somebody gets an idea. I want you to think about that, folks, the next time one of these idiots talking about security and arming teachers. Nobody else does that. Nobody else has to. They've got doors in their schools. Dolores, responsible gun owners don't brag about what they have. Absolutely. And they don't walk around brandishing it, and they don't walk around telling people it's the answer. Guns are not the answer. Yeah, the comment we had earlier, thank you for putting that up. Other countries are now issuing travel warnings about coming to the United States. Yeah. You know how we issue travel warnings to travel, you know, countries on the verge of civil war, countries, you know, where violence and kidnapping and, you know how we issue those warnings? Other countries are issuing those warnings about us. Canada, one of our two closest allies, is issuing travel warnings about coming to the United States of America. Folks, I tell you over and over and over again, this is not local. This news goes worldwide. We are the center. We are the epicenter of media. If it happens here, the world knows. And folks, they're paying attention. They're paying attention. Margaret Scupa says, when you poison the airwaves for decades with right-wing nutcase hate speech, i.e. Rush Limbaugh, etc., of course the result will be a deep divide in the electorate. Exactly. Great comment. Great comment. Absolutely comment. But I will add to that, it's not just the message, it's the people hearing it. We're different people. We are. Democrats are different than Republicans. You know, Republicans self-own themselves. New York, Texas is shipping immigrants to New York as fast as possible. People left Florida. You know, again, talking about Adelia, they don't have the workforce to do the repairs. They don't. The people of Florida are just screwed. They don't have the workforce. Why? They drove all the immigrants out. Instead of working with us Democrats to come up with a system for work permits, which is what most of these people want, they don't want citizenship. They want to be able to come here to work for a job, man. Instead of coming up with a good system like we have legislation ready to go. If the Republicans would just get out of the way, we will fund beefing up our embassies and the technology in our embassies so that we can vet and do backgrounds and issue work permits quickly and intelligently. We have that bill ready to go. Can't get it passed. Can't get it out of the Senate. Don't have enough people to vote for cloture. because they want the crisis. Republicans want the crisis. They don't want to fix things. And Florida doesn't have the workforce to deal with Hurricane Idalia. If you have a damaged roof in Florida, chances are you're going to end up with a worse problem like mold and just a dilapidation of your house, because you're not going to be able to get somebody to put a damn roof on your house, because the crews are charging a massive premium. The crews in Florida are charging twice going rates for work because there's no competition. Those people that left, they went to places like New York, and New York is like, holy crap, we've got an immigrant influx. We got to do something. We're going to do anything. All options are on the table. If we have to take our beloved Central Park and set up temporary housing in Central Park, we're going to do it. And Republicans self-own themselves by saying, look at them. They want to destroy Central Park because of immigrants. Look at those two different mindsets. The Democrats that run New York said, we've got a problem. We're going to fix it no matter what it takes. We're going to do right by these people no matter what it takes, because that's our job. Republicans said, screw them people. Get off my lawn. Literally. That is the two different views of America. Well, folks, I ran long, and I do apologize. I appreciate you spending your time here. It is such a beautiful day outside and a beautiful Sunday. I want to thank Shirley Layton again for being here. I just want to reiterate, I intended to do a politics-free rant today, but I did not do it. I apologize. We just went so long. Too much news, too much to talk about, and I'm so glad you're here to talk about it, me with it. Thank you again, Shirley, for being here. Just to reiterate what she's saying, get your kids involved. You want to turn Texas blue, get your kids involved. You want to win these elections. These elections, literally, these red states are not red states by 50 points. They're red states by 5 points. And on a local election, 5 points is a few thousand votes. That's it. That's it. Remember what Trump was looking for in Georgia? I need to find 11,780 votes. My God, folks, we're 15 to 1,700 people in this audience alone. I think we could scare up the votes. I know we could scare up the votes. But you have to change the way you look and engage with politics. I am glad you're here. But we're a community. You know, we're ride or die Democrats. Let me see my hearts and skulls of people that are actually ride or die Democrats. Let me see you in the politics. Show Shirley. I told Shirley you are active people. Let's see the hearts and skulls. Let's see the hearts and skulls in the chat. We're a community. We work. We do things. We know the Republicans have a cash advantage. They have radicals. You know, I rail about Ferris Wilks because he's so dangerous. He's a Seventh-day Adventist that wants to turn Texas, every school, every government institution in the state of Texas, he wants to turn Texas into a Seventh-day Adventist church. And he's funding it, man. He is putting his money where his mouth is. All we have is us. We don't have a bunch of billionaires backing us because, you know, we're going to tax their asses. And they don't want that. But if you want to do the right things, you know, we just had, you know, Joe Biden did an amazing job. We have Medicare negotiating on drug prices, but the Republicans, because of the power that they had, were able to drag it out. It's going to take time. Imagine if we could just do that with one vote. Folks, you can turn the reddest of red states blue. Ronald Reagan won 50 states, man. I mean, he made a blue map. It can be done. The reddest of red states, you're talking about a few points. You're talking about a few. In the Dakotas, it's a few hundred votes. And the Dakotas flip red. Flip from red to blue. And all it takes is for you to make one little change. I am so glad you're here. But participate, show up. They're great meetings. When Shirley and I were smiling and laughing about what a good time we had, man, they are fun. They are fun. Call your local county chair. Find out when the meetings are. Get involved. And importantly, bring your kids to me. Bring your kids to me. I know that sounds weird. Let them hear what we're talking about. Involve them. Let them know, hey, your agenda, it matters. And this is how we get it done. Because if you're showing up, we have 4 million Gen Z coming out in this next election that are going to be old enough to vote. 4 million. This is going to be not just a blue wave. It's going to be a blue tsunami. The wind is at our backs. We have got this, folks. We have got this. If we vote, if we show up, I'm talking about you personally, you, not them, you. If you show up, no matter how red your area is, and vote, man, we can change the world. We can. We can flip Congress hard Democrat. And that negotiating for drug prices won't be drug out over years. It'll happen overnight. Paying the tuition of kids that are smart enough to earn the grades because they benefit our country. Paying their tuition in college. If you can earn it, we'll pay for it. Yeah, we do that overnight. With a stroke of a pen. And expand the Supreme Court. Amen. I'm with you. But it takes you moving beyond this show, calling, finding out who your county chair is, find organizations just like you've got the East Texas Democratic Caucus working their butts off. They're organizations filled with good people, fun people that are looking for you. So let's do this, folks. Let's do it. Man, we ran over 25 minutes today. I sure appreciate you. You are the best audience. You're informed. You're there. You hang out to the end. You are the best. I love you, folks. Thank you for being here. As always, it was a wonderful time. You recharged my soul. Y'all have a wonderful Sunday.